Is the United States government actively engaged in war with UFOs? That is what a recent guest on Richard Dolan has to say based on a massive amount of evidence that he and his co-writer, they wrote this very long paper that recently came out. And Richard Dolan sat him down and did a deep dive, a 3-hour-long interview that barely scratches the surface of the material that he and his partner researched. And it is mind-blowing, amazing stuff. And among that stuff is the strong implication that the U.S. government is actively firing upon UFOs. Okay, let's get into it. This is Cosmic Road, where I discuss UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like, please subscribe, share on social media, and as I'm going through the story, please comment below and let me know what you think. Also, if you wanted to support the channel, please become a channel member. There are 2 tiers below to receive exclusive access in videos, and you can also simply leave a tip in the tip jar with the super thanks feature below. Okay, moving on. I love Richard Dolan. He's one of my favorite UFO researchers. And he was alerted to this story by James Ian Doley of Engaging the Phenomenon, who introduced him to this gentleman. The gentleman and his partner in research go by pseudonyms, I suppose, to protect their real identity, because what they're looking at is very sensitive. At least I assume that's the rationale behind the pseudonyms. He goes by the pseudonym Omega Point. I just realized I have a hair sticking out here. It's not going back. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, look at that. There's nothing I can do. Yeah, sorry. I think we're just gonna have to live with that hair sticking out. Maybe a hat. Anyway, this is a major story. This is huge. Anyway, this is a huge story. This is major news, a major new development in our understanding of the UFO phenomenon, and especially the government's response to the UFO phenomenon, and if indeed we are engaging in acts of war against the phenomenon. That is one of the biggest developments of all time. Could those attacks against UFOs be in response to attacks by UFOs, or in response to the abduction phenomenon, or is the government defending us? Well, first of all, let's get into the actual meat of the interview. Richard Dolan set Omega Point down for a 3-hour-long interview, and it really just it seems like it just barely scratches the surface of the material that they could have gone over. I would have really liked more specific details about the incidents where the government was shooting down UFOs. For example, the Virginia, Brazil case, Omega Point strongly indicates that was the U.S. government shooting down a UFO. But he doesn't go into a lot of detail in this interview because they cover so much material. In fact, I think it would be helpful. Let's just go to the interview and we will cut to the recap. You know, it's a 3-hour-long interview. I'm only going to play a few minutes of it. After, close to the end of the interview, they do a little recap of some of the material that they've gone over. And that will give you an idea of some of the breadth of the interview. And let's just cut right to that.
And I just feel as though it would be a good place for us to just review the key takeaways here that you've been discussing. Mm-hmm. I mean, first of all, we talked about a lot of this, from my perspective, is the journey of the NIDS people, John mm-hmm. Alexander and Hal Puthoff and Kit Green and Eric Davis and Jacques Vallée, and their attempts to get, as I keep saying, to the center of the labyrinth, which I know they have all wanted to do in one way or another. They want the answers. I don't think they've got all the answers they want, but they have a lot of the answers. They have means to find out some of the things that they want. They're all brilliant individuals. And they, along the path of this half-century journey, essentially, mm-hmm. have found out many, many things. And you and your partner have kind of elucidated a lot of that. Mm-hmm. One, that remote viewing is a highly significant method as deemed by the intelligence community to understand what is going on with these UFOs. Anti-neutrino field detection seems to be another such method by which they want to find these UFOs. You believe that there is reason to think that the military has been trying to take some of these objects down. We didn't get into any of that yet. We could if we want to. Maybe Virginia, you actually have a nice piece on that, where it's very obvious. You talk to Brazilian radar operators and describing how, the Americans came in, they just took over the whole thing.
Yeah.
They took the object, they took I think did he mention bodies? I'm not sure.
Yes.
They did it. They came in, they did the whole thing. Weygand also. And with Weygand, he's alerted with another individual in his unit to go to this area where a friendly aircraft came down. They discover it's a flying saucer. And then the next thing you know, DOE guys are coming in, Department of Energy, and they scare the living hell out of him, threaten him for several days. He thinks they're going to kill him. Now, I didn't remember why you thought that might have been a takedown. We can get into that. But
sure.
Just hold that thought. So there's that whole part of it. And then there's, the remote viewing and the directed energy weapons seem to me two of the key takeaways that I got out of your paper, which you very ingeniously did through all of these cross-checking and corroboration among these various mostly recently released documents.
Absolutely.
Am I missing something here? I'm sure that I'm missing. Let me pull up this. And we're going to talk about the Weygand thing. Oh, well, the significance of the Advanced Theoretical Physics Working Group, which I think you must be right here. You're really saying without that group, there's no NIDS, maybe? There may be no Wilson Davis notes. There's maybe no ATIP and OSAP.
Yeah.
None of that may have happened, you argue, without the Advanced Theoretical Physics Working Group.
Yeah.
Without John Alexander and Ron Blackburn starting that up and making it happen, out of the demise of the essentially the remote viewing program out of INSCOM run by Major General Admiral Albert Stubblebine.
Absolutely.
That's kind of the whole story here. Stubblebine, he gets people thinking you're doing it wrong. He gets forced out, and then you have people like Kit Green saying, "Yeah, there are patterns here with these experiencers and the remote viewers. There's patterns. Let's look for the patterns," and that sets him on his 40-year quest to figure
to this day. To this day. Absolutely.
And all of that is really indicated in Houck's notes, which we didn't get into Houck's notes too much, but it's in Oak's notes, it's in Davis Wilson, and it's in a number of these other documents that you found and you went through.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I just wanted people to have that. We've been talking for 2 hours, and I just wanted to reiterate this big picture here.
So there you have it. There are some of the things that they went over in this interview. The evolving journey of the theoretical physics group, how they emerged out of the remote viewing project and how they evolved and gathered new supporters, and ultimately some of them became NIDS or were allied with OSAP and ATIP, and how a lot of the movement that we're seeing now wouldn't have happened without them. Including the Admiral Wilson leak and other things that have come out, would not have occurred without those guys. And a lot of the information we're getting, we would not have without them. And the whole general public awareness of the phenomenon, slowly emerging, and the public slowly coming to accept what has really been happening for a long time. God knows how long. But the other major things, the other major takeaways are the remote viewing project and how important that is and how serious the government takes remote viewing. So I think that is important to consider. I've done several videos on remote viewing lately, and I think remote viewing is a very important tool. It is flawed, it depends on the remote viewer, it depends on the tasker, it depends on a lot of different things. It's not as reliable as we might wish it would be, but I think it is very valuable and very important. And it's especially important when you consider that we can all do it. That's the exciting thing and the interesting thing, and the really, frankly, the unsettling thing about it. It's unsettling because if we all have these abilities, these psychic abilities, if we have innate psychic abilities, every single one of us, then by God, they should be teaching that in school. I mean, they should be teaching that with PE. I mean, if you can lift a weight and if you can, see what's going on the other side of the world, tell me which one is more valuable. Arguably taking care of your body is more valuable, but remote viewing is right up there. And, they should teach all this stuff, all this esoteric knowledge that we are capable of doing, like, energy healing. They should teach all that stuff in school. I mean, if you can heal from wounds yourself, that one of the most valuable things that you could ever do. So why aren't they teaching that in school? Why aren't they teaching all of this esoteric knowledge in school? If the government takes it as seriously as they seemingly do, then that seems to indicate their unwillingness to reveal this to the masses. They use it for themselves, but they don't tell it to the rest of us. So, I mean, arguably that could be just as important, if not more important, than the UFO phenomenon. These innate abilities that each human has. So, it seems to me like these abilities have been repressed and suppressed for many, many years. Seemingly deliberately, but who knows? That could just be a confluence of events, from people in power wanting to maintain their power. But it could be something more interesting going on there. But to get back to UFOs and the U.S. government's war on UFOs, there seems to be a lot of research that Omega Point has done to indicate that we have developed weapons, energy weapons and radar weapons, and other forms of weapons to target UFOs and to bring them down. And it appears from his research that we have done so. That is huge. That is massive. I cannot overstate how massive that is and what a big deal that is. And if that is true, if we are shooting down UFOs, it's interesting that they have not retaliated in force. It's also interesting if what he believes is true and what some of the research that I've heard over the years is true, that we may have brought down the UFO at Roswell with a high I'm going to say it wrong, but high beam radar, very very powerful radar, and so if that's true, then we've been making war on the visitors for a long time. And, I have a hard time believing that we would have developed those weapons on our own. So, did somebody help us develop those weapons? In the 40s, would we have been able to shoot down a UFO under our own power? I don't believe so. However, I do believe that we have been collecting crash retrievals for a long time, and the government, possibly even previous governments from, hundreds or thousands of years ago, have known about this stuff and have kept it secret. But that's just speculation, and there's a lot of evidence to back that up. But that is speculation. However, there is a pretty good amount of evidence over the years that the U.S. government in particular has known about the phenomenon and has been hiding it from the public for possibly 100 or more years. So, and that goes beyond UFOs as well. Just a greater phenomenon, but also specifically the UFO phenomenon, even before it was called UFOs. Now, remember that the men in black existed at the time of Roswell. They descended on Roswell immediately and started hushing up this stuff. So they've been doing this for a while. And, man, that hair is driving me crazy. What the hell? Ah, Jesus. Okay. I'm sorry, guys. We're just going to have to live with that hair. Maybe I'll just hold it down Really, I shouldn't be flippant. I mean, I'm talking about the U.S. government making war on aliens. This is insane. This is nuts. This is one of the biggest stories, really, that I could ever cover. I hope it's not true. I don't want us to be antagonistic toward the beings. However, you know, if we are antagonistic toward some subset of the beings, I think that it's very likely that another subset of the beings is helping us in that. I can only hope that we have allied with the goodly beings, and they are the ones that have provided us with this technology to fight the negative beings, if that's what's going on. I certainly hope we are not being manipulated by the bad beings to fight the good beings. Or maybe there is no bad and good. Maybe it's all shades of gray and we are just trying to pick our allies as we may. We won't know until they tell us. That's why they just need to come out and tell us what the hell is going on so that we know. Otherwise, we're not going to know what side we're on. That's kind of a big deal. If indeed Omega Point is correct, and who knows, but his research seems to be very solid. I'm still making my way through his paper. It's a very long paper, but it's very well researched and meticulous, and Richard Dolan is very impressed by it, and so is James Andoli of Engaging the Phenomenon. I'm impressed by it as well. I think it's very solid, very good research, and it appears to be true. We need more corroboration. But that's just me. What do you think about this story? I would love to hear your thoughts. Please share them with me in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. Also smash that subscribe button and the bell to be notified of future videos. That would be super awesome. Please share this video on social media. There's Facebook and Twitter links below. I would love to interact with you on social media, so please follow me there. And there's ways to support the channel with channel memberships. Check those options out below to receive exclusive access in videos. And also you can leave a tip in the tip jar with the super thanks feature below. Until next time, this is Jack with Cosmic Road.